Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's Manulife Business Success Series webinar on the Access Student Talent Program, How Students Can Help Your Business. My name is Allison Mitchell, and I'm the Program Manager for the Access Student Talent Program at the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce. Before we get started, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that we live and work on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples as we seek a renewed relationship based on the foundation of mutual understanding and respect. Today's session would not be possible without the continued support of our sponsors. A special thank you to our title sponsor for the Business Success Series, Manulife, our platinum sponsor for the series, Immigration Partnership, and this month's presenting sponsor, BDC. These organizations are committed to supporting our local economy and providing businesses with the resources and tools they need to thrive. I would now like to invite Scott Lee, Senior Talent Acquisition Consultant with Manulife, to say a few words.
Thank you, Allison, and thank you everyone for having me. On behalf of Manulife, we're definitely very proud to sponsor the Business Success Series. And as part of this week's topic on how students can create success in your business, it's very kind of personal for me as a senior talent consultant with Manulife. I'm also the pod team lead for the North American Campus Talent Acquisition team. So I do head up the campus recruitment process for the United States and Canada. And we've definitely seen significant success with our student program and how students have really aided in our business units, particularly in terms of conversion from a student pipeline in terms of co-ops into our new graduate programs. Across North America, we typically hire at least 100 or so new graduates into various programs, including accounting, actuarial, IT, and really see a strong impact on the relationships with the schools and with the students that they have across the business units. One of these big factors is creating a more innovative and creative environment within the organization. As you know, as an organization, we are driving to become a more technology-focused and innovative culture. And with the new generations coming through, we definitely see that partnership as being something very successful both for us and for the student relationships. And then also one big aspect from our perspective is creating a strong sense of diversity within our new hires. And we really start that from the student population, which really find is creating a much more diverse and inclusive environment across the organization, and really creates a lot of success long-term in terms of ambassadors for our programs and for our student relationships. So very excited to be talking about this. And again, thank you all very much for having me. I appreciate it. Back to you, Allison.
Thank you, Scott. We are thrilled to have Manulife on board with this series as we work to support local businesses during this time. Just before the session starts, I'd like to go over a few reminders. Please ensure that your microphone is muted throughout the presentation so that we can reduce any background noise. If you have any questions that come up throughout the session, you can type them into the question box in your control panel at any time. If they are tech related, a representative from our team will get back to you momentarily. If you have any questions for today's presenters, they will be gathered throughout the session for our speakers, and they'll do their best to answer them at the end of the presentations. All attendees will be sent a recording of today's presentation, and it will also be made available at the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber site. I would now like to invite Josh Van Dyke, Manager Entrepreneurship Center with BDC, to introduce today's speakers.
Thank you, Allison. And BDC is proud to be this month's presenting sponsor of the Business Success Series. I have the privilege of introducing today's speaker panel. First, Linda Crawford. Linda holds a Bachelor of Science in Health from the University of Waterloo and an MBA from the University of Western Ontario. Linda has worked in experiential learning environment for over 15 years in the not-for-profit and post-secondary education sectors. Linda is currently the Associate Director of Work Integrated Learning at Conestoga College, where she is responsible for the teams that support students to gain hands-on experience as part of their educational program, including professional practice and field placements and student-facing co-ops. Linda is a member of the Quality Council for Cooperative Education and Work Integrated Learning. Lisa Jarvis is the Manager of Community and Workplace Partnerships at Wilfrid-Laurier University. Community and workplace partnerships support curricular, work-integrated, and community-engaged learning and are part of the expansion and experiential learning at Laurier. Lisa and the coordinators of her team work with the faculty to determine the model of experiential learning they want to use in their course, establish necessary partnerships with employers and community organizations, implement reflection of activities, and capture these experiences for the students in the Laurier Experience Record. In this role, Lisa enjoys being in the classroom, being in the community, and working with the staff to deliver meaningful opportunities for students that also benefit Laurier's external partners. Margaret Johnson is a business developer and cooperative education with the University of Waterloo. She also serves as the Kitchener City Councillor and is a former Kitchener Public School Board trustee. Margaret holds a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from Wilfrid-Laurier University and Bachelor of Education in Adult Education from Brock University. Thank you to all for joining us today, and I'll now pass it over to Allison, who will be moderating today's session.
Thanks so much, Josh. So our presentation today is about the Access Student Talent program at the Chamber, as well as hearing from our educational partners about all the different ways that businesses can work with students. As I mentioned, I am the program manager for the Access Student Talent program at the Chamber. And so I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just talking a little bit about the program, and then I'm going to pass it along to our educational partners. You'll see from this slide that we are able to run the Access Student Talent program in partnership and funded by the Business Higher Education Roundtable. And of course, our educational partners for this program are Conestoga College, the University of Waterloo, and Wilfrid-Laurier University. The Access Student Talent program, we launched it in 2018 in collaboration with our 3 educational partners to help connect small businesses and not-for-profit organizations with college and university students for work-integrated learning opportunities. Work-integrated learning is a model of learning that integrates students' academic studies within a workplace or practice setting. And so while the Access Student Talent program is housed at the Chamber, we are absolutely happy to help both Chamber and non-Chamber members. And when a lot of businesses that we talk to think about working with students, they think about working with students in the co-op capacity, which is absolutely available, and you're going to hear about that from our educational partners today. But there's also a lot of different ways that businesses can work with students, such as field placements and capstone projects, practicums, in-class projects. And so this webinar today is to really provide the information about all of the different ways that are available for businesses to be working with students. How we run, I'll talk about how we run the Access Student Talent program in a second, but when we talk about the businesses, the benefits that businesses have for working with students, businesses can really benefit from working with students because it can build the business's talent pipeline. Students come in with lots of up-to-date and creative ideas and innovative knowledge that can really help a business move a project forward or provide value to that business that in really low cost or no cost ways. And students are untapped resources that can really help the business move forward in their talent pipelining and their productivity. So there's a lot of benefits to businesses in working with students. How we run the program at the Chamber is for any business that's interested in working with a student, we will connect with them to learn about what their business needs are. Once we have that information, we go to our 3 educational partners and we research what options that business might have for working with a student. We summarize that information and send it back to the business. And if there are any options that the business is interested in exploring further, then we connect them directly to the appropriate person at the post-secondary school. So our role at the Chamber is really reaching out to the business community, providing information to them about working with students and all the different ways that you can work with students. We do the research and the legwork, and then we connect you with the right people. We've had some really great success over the past couple of years, and some of the employer feedback is that You know, there are some reasons why small businesses aren't working with students, and some of the reasons are they don't know how to connect, or they don't know how to start, or they don't know what work to give students. And so we're really here to help address those barriers. We can answer your questions and kind of be that resource for you moving forward. And before we get started, I just want to do a quick plug of our next webinar. We are holding our second Access Student Talent webinar on Wednesday, November 4th. And that one's going to be a really interesting webinar that's talking about the funding options that are available for businesses who are interested in hiring students. So I would encourage you to register for that webinar if you're at all interested in working with students in the future. I contact information, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to invite Linda to begin her presentation from Conestoga College.
Thank you, Allison. Good afternoon, everyone. Allison, if you could move to the next slide, please. So there are 6 types of work-integrated learning at Conestoga College. Apprenticeship programs are primarily government-run, but Conestoga College provides the in-class learning portion of apprenticeship programs. Co-op work terms and degree work terms are similar in that they're paid work experiences that take place over a single or multiple semesters. In Ontario, degree programs delivered at a college must have at least one work-integrated learning experience. At Conestoga, that's primarily a co-op experience. And that's why we differentiate between the co-op and co-op degree work terms. The partner organization in each of these situations hires the students and supervises them directly. Professional practice and field placements are unpaid placements. They take place at various times throughout the year and they vary in duration. The host organization in these circumstances supervises the student. We also have industry-sponsored community-based projects, and these are projects done by individuals or groups of students that work to solve real-world problems that are posed by an industry partner. Students are supervised by faculty but interact with those partners. These projects are often done in the final year of study, and you might know them as capstone projects. Next slide, please. So let me introduce you to our infrastructure that supports work-integrated learning, or WIL. WIL Support Services and Co-op are part of the Co-op Career and Work-Integrated Learning Department at Conestoga College. We provide support to students, faculty, and partner sites to prepare for and participate in work-integrated learning experiences. So I'll start with WIL Support Services. We monitor and mitigate risk in unpaid WIL activities, maintain a database of WIL host organizations in a portal that we call My Career. We process all the documentation that's required for WIL experiences, confirm agency or host organization and student requirements, and make sure they're met prior to starting a WIL opportunity. We have placement officers that work with employers and faculty and support students to prepare for unpaid WIL experiences, which are primarily professional practice and field placements. Our co-op department supports students to prepare for, secure, and successfully complete co-op work experiences. Co-op advisors are our direct link to students. They guide students through their pre-co-op preparation course, which is called CEPR. They assist students with their job search, and they monitor student progress during the work term. Employment relations consultants are responsible for job development. They liaise with our community partners to confirm co-op opportunities. Our employment relations officers liaise with employers, monitor job postings, and manage the interview and offer process. The Co-op Career and Work Integrated Learning Department uses a system called My Career to track students and employers and support the process of matching students to opportunities. Next slide, please. So I'll start with professional practice and field placement. We have certain requirements. In co-op, students are hired by employers. So there's an employee-employer relationship established that is governed by provincial laws. For unpaid placements, the college and the host organization must take steps to ensure that risk is managed. So we require that these documents are in place prior to a placement starting. We have an affiliation agreement between the host and Conestoga College, and that outlines the responsibilities of each party in relation to the field placement or professional practice placement. We require proof of liability insurance from the host organization, and we also require a WSIB declaration. The Ministry of Colleges and Universities provides insurance coverage for students on unpaid work experiences. If an employer is a WSIB organization, the insurance coverage that is provided is equivalent to WSIB coverage. If the host organization is a non-WSIB employer, then the ministry provides a different insurance that is provided by a company called Chubb. So that's why we need the insurance declaration, just to know which insurance that the student would be covered under. But in any case, the ministry covers the student's insurance, workplace insurance. Our affiliation agreement and portal coordinator connects, collects, and stores these documents using My Career. So he'll make those connections with the employers and make sure those documents are in place. So WIL Document Services. Document Services is another part of WIL Support Services, and they support students to complete any prerequisites that are required prior to going out on an unpaid placement. And depending on the program, students will have different prerequisites. All students are required to complete an occupational health and safety course called OHS 1320 prior to placement. This takes the onus off the employer to provide health and safety training. So it includes the Ministry of Labor's 4 Steps to Worker Safety, modules on WHMIS, AODA, violence in the workplace, privacy, etc. And this course is administered by WIL Support Services. Other courses, other prerequisites might include immunizations, TB testing, police record checks, first aid and CPR training, and things like that. So Document Services keeps track of whether students have those requirements in place. They also run clinics to help students get those requirements, such as TB testing or mask respite testing. We use a system called HS Tracks to monitor the student's progress. My apologies. To monitor the student's progress toward achieving each of those prerequisites. Next slide. So the following couple of slides show the schools and the programs in which that offer unpaid professional practice and field placement. I will not go into these in detail, but we can look through them, and because this presentation will be made available to you after, you'll be able to go back and look at what programs that we offer field placements and professional practice placements in. So this one, it shows community services, ECE, etc. Next slide. Creative industries opportunities, business opportunities, liberal studies and hospitality and culinary arts opportunities. And workforce development, continuing education, and trades. Health sciences, nursing, personal support worker, etc. Next slide. Okay, so now we'll move on to looking at co-op opportunities. So you can post your job opportunities for the winter work term, again, using that system, My Career. Students are available to work from January through to the end of April. So most co-op terms are 1 or more full semesters. We have degree, graduate certificate, advanced diploma, and diploma students available in co-op programs. And it's actually not too late to recruit for fall term co-op students. Our last date for employment to begin is October 26th. Next slide. So we have had to make some temporary changes in response to COVID-19 this year. So normally the minimum requirement for the number of weeks and hours is 420 hours, and now it has been changed to 8 weeks and 280 hours. So that's the required time to complete a co-op. A minimum of 10 weeks, though, is still required for employers to claim the cooperative education tax credit. There is increased funding available to support employers hiring co-op students, and the next Chamber's webinar will talk more about that. We are currently encouraging virtual interviews either via phone or via web, but students are able to go to on-site interviews at their site. We are not currently hosting on-site interviews at the Conestoga campus at this time. Next slide. So again, like the previous slides, these are the programs and the schools that offer co-op opportunities. So here are those opportunities in business school. Next slide. Community services, creative industries, health sciences and liberal studies. Engineering and technology. This is a big one. We have a couple of slides of this one. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, we have trades and apprenticeship and workforce development as well. And finally, here is our contact information. If you want to find anything more about WIL opportunities or co-op opportunities at Conestoga College, these are the ways you can find out more information. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much, Linda. I'd now like to invite Lisa from Wilfrid Laurier University.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me. Again, my name is Lisa and I'm the Manager of Community Workplace Partnerships at Laurier. Next slide, please. So Community Workplace Partnerships at Laurier is part of our bigger career development and experiential learning umbrella at Laurier, which also includes cooperative education. Cooperative education may be the form of WIL, like Allison said, that you're more familiar with, and so I will speak to some of that today, but also want to give you some more details about what our unit does, because we were created to expand and supports and the types of WIL experiences available to students at Laurier. And we hope that then every student at Laurier will get one experiential learning opportunity in their time with us. Next slide, please. So we work with faculty partners to develop the experiential learning model and related reflection activities for their course or program, as critical reflection is a very important key component to any experiential or work integrated learning experience or process. And we reach out then to you, the employers and partners, community partners, to source the opportunities that are a fit for that course or program. Now, it sometimes happens the other way around, where you, the employer, has an opportunity or a project idea and that you approach us. And so you can do that by approaching our team, our co-op coordinators, or the CWP coordinators, or you can post those opportunities on our system navigator. And then we will find somewhere on our campus where that could live or fit. Next slide, please. So the different types of work integrated learning, some of which Linda mentioned happen at Conestoga, I'll speak to today as well. And they often have the same pedagogical components as co-op. And again, that may be what you're more familiar with, but in-course projects and practica and internships that I'll speak to shortly also are putting students in workplace or simulated workplace experiences. They're linking those experiences to concepts and theories that they're learning in their courses or programs. They're gaining skills and linking these experiences to the Laurier competency framework, and then having those experiences on their Laurier experience record for when they graduate to have a portfolio of all their experiential learning. And hopefully they'll have a chance to clarify values and explore careers so they can start to make decisions about what they want to do beyond their university career. Next slide, please. So here's the typology of experiential learning categories at Laurier. This is those types of experiential learning that are curricular, so students are receiving academic credit for these types. Co-op, again, you may be more familiar with, much like at Conestoga, students prepare in advance by taking a fundamentals course, and they get credit for that. And then they use our system navigator to view the opportunities that you, the employers, post. And they're seeking full-time paid opportunities for 4 or 8 months, and in some cases longer. We have students available in business, BBA and MBA students available all year round, as well as students in our double degree programs, those who are studying math or computer science alongside their business degree. We also have arts and science students available primarily in the spring term, May to August, but some of our science students are available all year round as well. And then I'll speak to some of these in more detail shortly. Next slide, please. In-class projects, simulated or workplace projects where you, the employer, present a real-world case or a problem for us to pitch to the students. Usually students are working in small groups throughout the course of a 4-month term to come up with some solutions or recommendations or whatever the predetermined deliverable is for you. This has been actually one of the most popular models of engagement that we've worked with Allison through the Access Student Talent program or initiative. We find that it's very attractive to small businesses. Professional inquiry is a bucket of experiences where students are gaining short-term exposure type opportunities within your organizations. They might do a site visit and a tour where they're asking questions about the work that you do. They might be doing job shadow type opportunities, and these are typically available for first or second year students to start to gain some exposure in the workplace and in the community as they prepare for more intensive experiential learning placements later. And then internships and other types of placements. For those of you who are nonprofit or social profit public sector employers, you could recruit our community service learning students for 2 to 3 hours of volunteer work each week, again for a 4-month term in most cases. We have students who are in paid internships, which are attractive to our employers who might not have a full-time work for a co-op student, but would like to offer employment to a student, and often internships are a good fit for that. And then practicum placements, where students, again, are in a discipline-specific type placement, but they're unpaid, committing 4 to 8 hours, usually weekly, to the employer. Next slide, please. So why partner with us? Well, the name of the initiative, access the skills and knowledge and talent of our students. And hopefully students will offer you some fresh perspectives. They can carry out research activities. Perhaps you'll be able to expand your offerings or your services because of the extra resource that students can offer. Students talk about their experiences in work integrated learning and co-op, and so you're building your employer brand across our campuses when you engage with our students. And you have a chance to mentor and develop the next generation of leaders within your sector when you engage with our students. And like Allison pointed out, you're building a pipeline of talent for your organizations. These are low risk, short-term opportunities for you to engage with students. And so it can lead to something longer term, and we often see that whether students get employment post-graduation or they continue to volunteer with your organization in the case of community service learning. Next slide, please. Just a few really specific examples of what we have upcoming for community workplace partnerships in the winter term. Digital media and journalism students are seeking 120 hours of part-time, this is paid work throughout the term, 4 months starting in January, and we always have a handful of students seeking these opportunities. Right now, we have one student in an internship doing remote work for an organization, and to Linda's, I guess, explanation of COVID times modifications, most of our students doing placements right now are in remote or virtual opportunities, but they are available to also work with you on site, and we will manage all the, just like we do in non-pandemic context, manage all the health and safety forms and processes for that. In Business 459, a very popular course for some of the chamber members that have worked with us so far with the Access Student Talent Initiative, social marketing and networks, where students are creating a 6-month social media marketing plan for you, the employer. And coming up also in January, our health studies students are seeking job shadow opportunities broadly in healthcare and health administration. And we also have students available immediately for practicum placements. These are unpaid placements that are a minimum of 80 hours. Next slide, please. So here's a shout out to some of our key partners where students are volunteering, they're creating therapeutic recreation plans, they're responding to challenges that employers have identified around marketing in the pandemic context. Again, they're creating social media marketing plans, and some students are planning and implementing virtual events for some of our partners. Next slide, please. So I want to leave you with some of these partner and student comments to inspire you to engage with our students. A couple just next steps for you. Again, on the co-op side, we are posting and recruiting for the winter work term right now. It's our largest group of students available to you, so we encourage you to reach out if you'd like to post a full-time paid opportunity for the winter term, January to April. And the last day to post for that is October 27th. And we are also recruiting partners for many of our community workplace partnerships courses for the winter term. So you can connect with me, and I believe my contact information is available through the webinar. And I'm happy to take any questions at the end of the webinar after my colleague Mark also presents. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks so much, Lisa. And now I would like to invite Mark from the University of Waterloo to present.
Yes, and thank you so much, Allison, and thank you to the KW Chamber for hosting this today. This is an incredible opportunity for all of our post-secondary institutions to be able to talk about the talent that's available in our community. And I must say that Waterloo Region is very lucky to have the 3 post-secondary institutions that we do have here, and the talent that's available here is second to none. So thank you to my co-presenters today as well, Linda and Lisa from Conestoga College and from Wilfrid Laurier University. I think together we really are a talent powerhouse that many communities would appreciate having. So I'm going to talk a little bit about today why this is an incredible time to invest in young talent. Next slide, please. At the moment, it's an amazing time to invest in young talent because more talent is staying in Canada to work than ever before. Our young talent is adapting to an evolving work reality. As both Linda and Lisa have mentioned, our students are working virtually for the most part, though some students are available to work on site as well. So they've had to adapt to working virtually. And one thing that we do at the University of Waterloo is we really coach our students to expand their expertise, to develop themselves, to build relationships. Sometimes a challenge doing virtually, but they've certainly risen to the occasion to do that. And by doing this, they're able to deliver solutions to businesses, and that really results in future-ready talent and graduates. Hiring has never been easier or more affordable than it is now. I know that the previous presenters have touched on that, and I'll touch on that further as well later. But it really is a wonderful time to, if you're thinking about getting talent, to get talent. It benefits to revise your talent. I'm sorry, I wasn't ready to move forward yet. It benefits to revise your talent management strategy on a regular basis. By working with co-op students, they're going to bring unique experiences, diversity, and new ideas to your workforce. And it's really going to result in an ability to innovate and succeed on the job. And this next generation talent is critical for rebuilding the economy. For industries, we see both positive returns on the short-term product that students are able to bring, but also it's developing that critical talent pipeline as well as clear economic gains. Next slide, please. With over 60 years of experience and the largest co-op program in the world, we have close to 23,000 students a year that are enrolled in co-op at the University of Waterloo in over 120 programs that cover our 6 different faculties. So I always say to new employers that when you have a job posting, we'll be able to help you find a student to fit your role. We are training, developing, and enabling the next generation of talent to enter the workforce. And there's never been so much talent in our community. With the talent restrictions in place, our talent is staying here in Canada. We are #1 for employer-student connections. We've established over 7,100 industry connections worldwide. We have regionally based staff. We have a team of over 180 people located across Canada to help you be successful, to help our students be successful in the co-op jobs that we have. And we help things to really run smoothly. Next slide, please. Waterloo Co-op is critical to economic recovery in Canada. It will help future-proof our organizations and navigate future disruption, which we hope is not going to happen. There are clear economic impacts and gains to hiring our students. Deloitte conducted a study on the economic impact of Waterloo's co-op program in 2019. So there was a $567 million boost to Canada's GDP in 2018-2019. $310 million in labor income in those 2 years as well, and over 5,779 full-time jobs were created or sustained across Canada, excluding the co-op work terms themselves. So Waterloo Co-op is a clear economic driver, and to be clear, these numbers do reflect pre-COVID statistics. Next slide, please. So we're not just reacting to what's happening in the economy right now. We are innovating to make sure students and employers are ready to face our new reality. As already mentioned, there's funding opportunities available now of up to $7,500 or 75% of the cost of a student hire. As well, in response to the pandemic and the move to virtual workplaces, Waterloo students have had access to specialized digital skills fundamental courses. And they're learning such skills as digital marketing, web design, video marketing, to name a few. These courses were created to help Waterloo students better support Canadian businesses at this time. And there are funding opportunities particularly well suited to job postings in the digital skills area. And I'd be happy to discuss how those integrate with our local businesses. There's a lot of new flexibility for hiring as well. We have really listened to, we've listened to the Chamber, we've listened to small businesses in our community that have said, it would be easier for us to be able to take on a student for less time. That might be what we can afford at the moment. So we now have students available for 8 to 16-week terms. And I can talk to you about those possibilities and the flexibility now for hiring as well. And again, we have the service and support of a dedicated co-op support team across Canada, and we can help you with coming up with job descriptions, help you post your job in our Waterloo Works employment portal, help you arrange interviews. Interviews are being done virtually at this time, but we can certainly help with that process, and help with the onboarding process for you once you do match and hire your students. So we're here to help you be successful and help our students be successful as well. Next slide. So my contact information is here. I am happy to help you with any inquiries that you have about hiring Waterloo students, and I'm right here in the community. And thank you again. I'm done.
Great, thanks so much, Mark. So as a reminder, if you have any questions for our speakers, please enter your question into the question box in your control panel. And maybe we'll start with some questions about timing. So often when I talk to businesses, they're not overly familiar with the timing. If they're interested in working with a student, how early do they need to start thinking about that or planning that before it'll actually be implemented? So perhaps each of you can just talk about what's the best timing if they're interested in hiring a co-op student, for example. Is it like how far in advance do they need to think about that? Or a placement student or a practicum student in class, like any of those kinds of things, just speaking to timing in general.
Sure. I don't know. You want to go ahead, Mark?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Well, typically, we're hoping that employers are starting to think about employing students 4 months ahead of time. But I'll tell you that we are constantly having our students hired. So right now we're looking at the winter work term. We still have some students available for the fall work term as well. But really, as with the other students, there's always opportunities for us to be working with employers to help them hire full-time and for part-time positions as well.
So for us, for co-op, it would be very similar. Our first round of recruiting always starts about 3.5 months ahead of the actual start date to the work term. But we have the multiple rounds of recruitment and always have students seeking right up until that start date of the work term. Of course, the later it gets, the smaller the pool of students. But again, we always have students available for you. For capstone projects, it's a bit different because I think we're willing to entertain, anytime you have a project idea, we encourage you to reach out to Allison because it can take, I would say 4 to 8 months, like 1 or 2 academic terms to match that project that you have with a course. And Allison, you might be able to speak more to that, but in terms of your experience with the capstone projects, because it's been very popular. But we tend to work also 1 to 2 terms ahead for those projects. But as I say, never hesitate to reach out because we're always happy to try and find where it could fit or live. Even if we don't have an existing course for it right now, we may find a faculty member that's very interested in your project, and we can almost create a new course for your project. And then for some of our practicum placements, internships, and that kind of thing, again, probably the term ahead, 4 months ahead, but we do often, like I say, for health studies practicum, we can post anything immediately. We often have students with a rolling kind of recruitment. So I guess the answer is always reach out and we'll let you know when the next round is, but 4 months is probably your minimum for the most part.
Thanks, Lisa and Margaret. I don't have a whole lot to add there. We would be similar for co-op, but as I mentioned in my presentation, we do have some students available to start right up until October 26th for the fall term. So there are opportunities that can sometimes take place on much shorter timelines. For field placements and professional practice placements, those the student availability depends on their course sequence. So the majority of our students, or our largest number of students for field placements, are available in the winter semester. However, they are available in all semesters, but it does tend to depend on the program. And the timing and the duration within a semester for an unpaid placement also varies across programs. So you're best just to get in touch with us, let us know what your needs are, and then we can do whatever we can to match you with the right student in the right program at the right time.
Thanks to all. And I guess I'll just add that whenever I'm talking to a business and they kind of say, well, you know, it's something I might think about in the future, maybe I'll talk to you in January, I usually try and encourage that the conversation happens now so that we can plan as far in advance as possible. Because if you're looking for help in the winter, then it's best to have the conversation now in the fall as opposed to the winter. So earlier the better, so that we can do some planning and you can do some planning. Another question, speaking from a student perspective, how have each of the post-secondary institutions been ensuring impactful and engaging experiences are being delivered between the student and the employer? Linda, do you want to take that one first?
Yeah, sure. I'll start with that. For co-op, we have very experienced employment relations consultants who work with the employers to make sure that the employment experience matches the program experience. And particularly in a college situation where we are required to have a work experience during a degree program, that work experience must match learning objectives within the degree program itself. So our ERCs and our work with our employers to make sure that there's a good match there. We also have a really strong relationship between the student, the institution, and faculty members to make sure that those learning opportunities that are happening for students can meet the learning objectives of the student, but also achieve the requirements of the employer. So what the employer is hiring the student to help them with a particular project, we can work with them to ensure that the opportunity is offered in such a way that it can support both the student and the employer.
Great, thanks. Margarita?
Yeah, I can go next then. And thank you. Linda actually answered that really well. That's very similar to what we do at the University of Waterloo as well, is that we work with employers. We want the employment experience to be a good experience for both the employer and for the student, which means that really thinking about what can be a rich experience for them. So it's doing that work ahead of time of posting the job to help an employer really think through what they need to have done. Ensure then that their posting is written in such a way so that it's a good match then, and that the student knows then the experience that they're signing up for, as well through the work that we do with our students while they're on their work term. They have to do a work term report. So while they're on their work term, they're thinking about their job and through kind of a critical lens, and about what learnings they've taken from there. We encourage them to speak to their employers about, you know, if there's ways that if they wanted to take on some extra work, if they wanted to maybe look at a little bit different way of doing something, that they have the confidence to do that, and that will help improve the work term as well.
Thanks for the question. It's a very good one. I think I'll just say a couple things that, because you know, some of my answer would be similar to my colleagues, but I think, Marg, you mentioned just starting with the job postings or the project descriptions. A lot of what our coordinators will work with you on is putting the, you know, a decent amount of detail in those postings and the project descriptions, and so the expectations are very clear for everyone. I think that's a lot of what we do, is managing expectations, making students know what they're applying to, and knowing what you want, and so that they can determine, you know, is this what I want? You know, okay, am I available at that time for a CSL placement, for example? And very simple, and then right to the type of skills do I have, you know, to carry out this job. In the case of projects, it's the same, to have a very well-defined project scope and deliverable, so that we don't have the faculty member, for example, getting too involved in the work of the project, that the students have the skills that you need to create the deliverable so they feel successful and confident, and that you're getting a high quality deliverable at the end of the project as well. So again, it's just working alongside of you, with you, to have the right amount of detail in some of these things up front. And then like my colleagues mentioned, throughout the experience, the critical reflection pieces that are worked into work terms, site visits for our co-op students, helping them to reflect on their learning outcomes, and then in the classroom on the curricular side, just helping students to finish those critical reflection assignments that are linking the experience and the academic. And the supervision that you provide, right, on site. And you know, I think the best part of experiential learning is students hear, hey, you're really good at this, or this is a development area we encourage you to work on. And so it's just talking with you upfront about what student expectations might be with regard to supervision.
Great, thank you very much. We've pretty much come to the end of the presentation, so I'm just going to flip this slide to the next one here. And I really want to thank Lisa, Linda, and Marg for joining us today, and for discussing the important opportunities that are available for students to be working with businesses. As I mentioned, in what I've heard from businesses, often businesses think about solely co-op, and while that's a really great option, there are many, many options for working with students. And so I hope that the businesses who are listening will reach out and see how a student may be able to help them in their business. I want to thank again our sponsor, so our title sponsor for the series, Manulife, our platinum sponsor for the series, Immigration Partnership, this month's presenting sponsor, which is BDC, and again, our speakers today, Margaret, Linda, and Lisa. And finally, to all of you joining us today, as a reminder, we host the Business Success Series every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Join us next Wednesday as United Way Waterloo Region hosts Small Business Making a Big Difference. This webinar will address how a partnership with United Way will not only benefit the community, but also positively impact your business while fulfilling your corporate social responsibility goals. We hope to see you then. For full details and to register, visit greaterkwchamber.com. Please share this series with your friends and colleagues. Join us every Wednesday afternoon for the next edition of the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce Business Success Series, brought to you by our title sponsor, Manulife, platinum sponsor, Immigration Partnership, Waterloo Region, and October's presenting sponsor, BDC. Because it's Wednesday, it's a Business Success Series. Thank you again for everybody for joining us.